here is an agenda of what I'm going to be talking about. Thank you for helping me with one of my classes. Basically, I'm going to be talking about one of our TEKS that I got from this book. It's a reading TEK, okay? And it's one of the standards. And basically, it's called Unpacking a TEK Standard. I was like, okay, what is that about? So you're going to find out what it's about. And it's like, thank God we don't have to do this. But really, in a way, it's like kind of we should do this. And to understand it, let me see. We would see the standards more clearly because it's like you're breaking it down. Okay, that's what I guess that's why they call it unpacking, because you're breaking down the standard into parts. And so then it will help you plan it will help plan your lesson plans better to make sure that you're teaching all the components of whatever, of reading or of math or science and social studies. And we'll do a few practices so you can see. And that's what they basically said, that for unpacking the TEK standard, it helps you plan your lessons better. Because you know how sometimes we'll skip something? Well, I'm guilty of that. And we'll say, I'll come back to that later. And so with unpacking it, breaking it down, it'll make sure that we're taking care of everything the kids need to know, okay? So then, the unpacking is comprised of a skill. Each TEK is always going to have a skill. It's always going to have a concept. And sometimes it's going to have a context. As I was doing this and getting ready, I found it hard to figure out the context in the standard. I mean, even Rocio was helping me, and even the two of us, we were like, whoa, is that it? Could that not be it? So, but the thing was is that sometimes the standard will have it, and sometimes it won't. It just depends. And I think, as I was doing it, that's the harder one to figure out. The skill is easy, the concept is easy, it's the context that's hard to figure out. So the parts of a standard, like the concept, you will always find it in the standard. It's basically the main idea, the content. It's related to your subject. Those are your nouns. Okay, that's what they say. It's always going to be in there. The skill will always be in there. It's basically your student behavior. It's the verb. Like, you know how it starts with, like, describe the plot, or identify, or what are some other ones? Explain, distinguish, sequence. You know, that would be the skill, because that's what the students are going to be doing for that standard. That's your verb. That one's easy to find. That one, I marked that one right away. This one, like I said, the context, sometimes you can see it, or it will be in the standard. Not that you see it, but that it'll be in the standard. It's the restricting condition, the resource or method that must be used. That's why it's so hard, because sometimes you can have a context. This is what I noticed. Sometimes you can have the context, but it sounds like it's part of the skill. And I think some samples that we're going to be doing, I mean, if I'm wrong, if you think that I didn't get the context, I mean, go ahead and tell me, because I'm still learning this also. If you think I didn't mark the context and you think, okay, well, this is the context, then let me know, because I'm still learning about this. Like, this is something we don't do. Imagine if we had to do this. And you'll see how hard it is once we start practicing. Okay? So those are the different parts. The concept will always be there. The skill will always be there. The context sometimes will be there. And then the samples they gave us, because I saw a video, and the samples that were on the video, they always had a context. So that's why I was like, but they're saying sometimes it's there, but then you're giving us samples, but the context always there. So it was kind of confusing. Okay? All right, so then, where's my, all right. So then now I made first some examples. Like here's one. It says, describe the characters in a story and the reasons for their actions and feelings. So first, we would look for the concept. Remember, the concept is what did you? The main idea. So like for here, I said that the concept was characters in a story. Okay, and I'm gonna highlight that. Okay, that would be your concept. Then your skill, that's your verb. What do you do? Or what the student's gonna do? Well, that's easy. Describe, yeah. That would be easy. Describe. So I'm gonna put that a different color. Okay. Now, this is the harder one. The context. It's sometimes in there. I think it's in there. Okay. And basically, we have to remember it's a restricting condition, the resource or method used to accomplish the skill and the concept. I think that the context here is reasons for their actions and feelings. I mean, that's what I think. I mean, if you think yes, if you think no, I mean, you know me, I learn from everybody, and that's what I think the context is. So you see how the context is hard to figure out, right? Because yeah, it's the restricting condition, the resource or method used to accomplish the skill and concept. So reasons for their action. Would that accomplish like the skill? Describe. Well, they have to describe their actions, right? Depending on what the story is. Like in Jack and the Wolf.
Perfect example.
Perfect example. Jack and the Wolf. Why did he lie? What was his action for saying wolf? And then, because he wanted to trick, he was bored. And then the feelings, well, describing the feelings of the friends, the villagers. First they came running right away to hell. The second time they came running to hell. But then what happened the third time when there really was a wolf? They didn't come at all. So I believe that that would be the context. But you see how it's hard? How it's hard to figure out? Yeah, even when I asked Lucia to go to see you, and she watched the videos with me, I was like, what do you think? Because it's hard. And even when I went home to do this and get the lesson ready, I was like, okay, I think that's it, but we'll see. That's why I'm saying, thank God we don't have to actually do that.
Yeah, Dakota.
Yeah, yes. But see how it breaks down the standard to make sure that we're teaching about the character in the story, about why they did that action. Why Jack? Why was Jack bored? Why he tricked his friends? And then it also makes sure that we're gonna teach the kids about the feelings. Okay, well yeah, Jack's feelings, he was bored. The villagers, they felt upset. They were mad at him, right? Because he was lying. They kept running up that hill.
And at the end, Jack's feelings were different.
Yeah, at the end, Jack's feelings were different. Exactly, because in the beginning, he was like, yeah, he didn't care, like I told the kids. And they were always pointing out to the picture, well, look at Jack. He has like a smile in one of the pictures. I think he was leaning against the tree or something. And like his smile is sideways. So I go, yes, but it's not a smile like, it's like sideways, like a smirk, like, I tricked you. And then they say, why are you laughing like that? I think I kind of scared them. And I go, no, it's not that I'm scaring you. It's because he's smirking. He's saying, I tricked you. And they're like, oh, okay. And then what did they do that whole time?
They were doing it.
Yeah. So you see how the unpacking of the standard, it helps us make sure that we teach those things to the students. I don't know if you have any questions about that. Okay? The context is hard, right?
Yes.
The first two are easy, it's just the context. Okay, so there's another example. Identify the topic and explain the author's purpose in writing about the context. About the text. So I said that the concept, what color did I have the concept? Yeah. Okay. I said the concept was to explain the author's purpose.
Or just the author's purpose.
Yeah, because of the verb.
Okay, so just the author's purpose?
Uh-huh.
Okay, I can agree with that.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Because
Thanks for
two
that.
verbs, identify and explain.
Yeah, good, okay. And so then the skill would be, like how you said, and what was the skill? Green. Okay. It would be identify and explain. See, I didn't see that. I really didn't even think of that. So thanks for helping me with that. And then, again, the context. I put, but like I said, I put here on my notes, question mark.
It's writing
So would it be
about-
writing about the text?
That's what they're using to identify and explain.
Right. That's what they're gonna do to help them figure out the skill, to help them work with the skill.
Elaborate.
Right, exactly. So what color was that? It's like a
Teal.
bluish. Okay, writing about the text. Okay, so see how this standard was broken down. But see, in this standard, there were two skills. And you know, well, if they have two skills, then they have two skills. Now the thing is, would we teach both of them at the same time? Or we would have to teach one on one day, one on another day, which for our little ones, it has to be divided. One, not maybe just one day, or maybe
More
2
than-
days,
yeah.
3 days, then the next one.
Uh-huh.
The writing, I'm sure, writing about the text, I'm sure we all do that every week with our story.
And that's what's gonna help them. When they write, you can actually identify and show them where they identify and where they're explaining, because we also have the higher kids, the
Mhm.
higher level kids,
Yeah.
and that's when the writing will be great to show them, just show them, here you identify, here you explain.
Right. And you know, the author's purpose is always hard for the kids, and I find for me to teach it to them and get them to understand is hard. It's that number 10 question.
Yeah, always number 10.
Always number
Yeah.
10. It's always wrong. And even we go over, okay, what's the author's purpose? And they're like, what? Well, why did the author write it? You know, depending the story. Like this story, Jack and the Wolf. I don't know if it's almost like the theme. You know, if we do the story elements, it's almost like the theme, I guess, so to speak. But then when you change the words around author's purpose, it's like, oh my God, that's new. So I find that myself, I don't know about you guys, but like for myself, it's hard to get them to understand, well, the author wrote it because he
And
wanted.
sometimes it might be possible too, and sometimes it
Yeah.
could be
Oh,
like,
yeah.
yes, specifically it's one, but I can understand why they would choose another one,
Mhm.
because it might be.
Yeah, and that's what I like about that number 10 question. There are two very similar answers. And see how they're already starting that in first grade, and then when they get up to third grade, fourth grade, fifth grade, they have those choices.
Higher level,
And
right?
yes.
That's why I like
Yes.
it, because they make them really.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah, so I, as myself, as a teacher, I need to work better to teach them author's purpose. Some stories it's easy to
But
teach,
others are
others
difficult,
it's
yeah.
like
Yeah.
hard. I don't know about you guys, but for me it's like, yeah, yeah. Okay, so then for you guys to practice, here's your standard. Retell the order of events in a text by referring to the words and or illustrations. Okay? So, what do you think the concept would be?
Order of events.
Order of events.
Okay. And that was the yellow, right?
Yes.
Okay, good. The skill.
Retell.
Yeah. We love the skill.
Yes.
That was green, I believe.
Yes.
Okay. Now the context.
By referring to the words and
Referring to the
illustrations.
words and illustrations.
Okay. By referring.
Uh-huh, by referring.
Yeah, and
to
then
the
sometimes I realized like some of those small words, it was like, do we include them? Do we not include them? You know what I mean? So yeah, okay, good, yeah. You're
You know what
right.
I'm thinking? The last part,
Hmm.
it answers the question like how. How are they gonna do it? How
Yeah.
are they gonna retell the order of events? By referring to the words and illustrations.
Yeah,
I could be wrong, but that's how I'm
That
understanding
sounds
it.
like
How.
that's the restricted condition.
yeah, yeah.
We'll see as we keep practicing.
See, and even this, like this could go when we read Curious George,
Mhm.
the sequence of events. You know, that's what we teach them all week. I always tell them, okay, you know, remember when we read Curious George? What happens if we open the story and we started? He was mopping up the paint. He went to school, and they're like, no, it doesn't make sense. So that's why we have order of events. Okay, so good. The last one, describe the plot and retell a story's beginning, middle, and end with attention to the sequence of events. So the concept,
For the skills of verb, so
Well,
describe,
Describe the plot, so
describe,
for sure the
plot.
plot and retell.
the skill is
That's a verb.
describe and retell.
Okay, let's do the skill, let's do
Yeah.
the skill.
Let's
So-
describe, describe and retell.
Describe would be, it was the green, right?
Uh-huh.
Oh, yes.
And retell?
Uh-huh.
Okay, that's why I say, we love the skill because that's easy
Yeah,
to
yeah,
tell,
yeah.
that's easy to tell. Okay,
Okay.
So it's plot, because beginning, middle, and end have to do with plot.
Mhm.
Yes.
The
So
sequence.
it's plot.
okay, so then plot you're saying is the concept? That was the yellow.
Yellow.
Would it also include beginning, middle, and end?
Well, it's part of the.
Well,
Right?
part of
It's
it.
part of the plot,
Yeah,
right?
you
Yeah, we
do
can do
that.
it in yellow, yeah, there.
Okay, so now, the hard part, oops, sorry.
How? With attention to the sequence of events. Yes.
With attention,
Attention to the
with
sequence of
attention.
events.
Including the word with?
Yes, I
Okay.
think.
The sequence of events, that would be your context. Okay, yes, I had that too. I had that
We
too.
knew that, we knew.
Yeah, I took it to
Trying to
be
trick
hard to
us,
figure
teacher.
them out. So, of course, we do this all the time also. Like, of course, every week, with stories like this, I do the story elements. So on one day, that's all we concentrate on. And so for sure, I know I'm teaching those. But you see how unpacking shows us what we should be teaching our kids. And then how they should be learning them. Describing, retelling, identify.
So breaking it down.
Breaking
into
it down into
Actual lessons.
into parts. They're just using the word
Unpacking.
unpacking. Okay? So I don't know if you guys have any questions or comments or anything about this.
No, I
No.
think we understood it a lot better now.
Yeah.
I think, yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you.
Thank you, yay.